who are the Copts and how did they come to be in Egypt in the first place? Coptic Christianity dates back to the first few hundred years after the death of Christ. It's one of the oldest Christian communities in the Middle East. They currently make up around 10 to 15% of Egypt's 90 million people. The Copts feel they have long suffered discrimination, and those concerns have intensified since Egypt's revolution 2 years ago and the rise of the powerful Islamic parties, including the Muslim Brotherhood. Their new leader, Bishop Tawadros, has been an outspoken critic of President Morsi, accusing him, as we've been hearing, of failing to protect the Coptic Christians. Well, with me is Shaimaa Khalil, who's the BBC's Middle East regional editor. Shaimaa, you've been following very closely the development of recent years. Do you think the Copts have reason to be worried?
Well, if the events of last weekend are anything to go by, yes, they do. I mean, they've always, like you said, they've always complained that the state is not doing enough to protect them. The Copts in the Mubarak era before he stepped down were a big card that he played in saying that keep me in power and I will keep you protected. And of course, they had everything to fear after that because of the collapse in security in general in Egypt. But as you say, Mohammed Morsi has promised to keep the Coptic Church safe. He's promised to protect the rights of the Copts, but none of that happened. In fact, it got worse. We saw many scenes of violence, and for the first time, the main cathedral, St. Mark's Cathedral, was actually attacked by fire bombs, by angry mobs attacking it with stones. And up until now, Pope Tawadros is saying, well, what are we waiting for to launch an investigation? On the other side, you have statements from the presidency saying, you know, the cathedral is and the Coptic Church is a symbol. We will never let anything touch it. But so far, it's just talk.
As you know, throughout their election campaigns, the Muslim Brotherhood kept emphasizing that they wanted to take care of all the minorities. But they're not, of course, the only powerful Muslim group. There's been the rise of more conservative, more extreme Islamic group who have not been as generous toward the Christians. Is that part of the problem? Is that Morsi cannot control the situation?
Well, Morsi cannot control the situation on the street, but he also cannot control the rhetoric of the more hardline, shall we say, Salafi groups, who basically, some of which come out on their private channels to say, you know, the Christians are not welcome in Egypt, they're not the real Egyptians, and, you know, they come out with more radical things about Christians, and that makes them even more afraid of their own safety. I mean, I've been to Egypt many times, spoken to some Coptic Christians in different parts of Egypt, and they say we have a lot to fear for our safety. Now, some of them are quite defiant, and they're saying we're not going anywhere, but many are now considering leaving the country.
President Morsi also promised to put Egyptians in positions of power. Yes. Has he?
Well, he's put lots of Muslim Brotherhood Egyptians in power. We have yet to see women in leading positions in the government. We have yet to see Copts in leading positions in the government. So he's fighting many battles, and this recent clash, if you say, with the church could add a very dangerous layer of the already polarized society between Muslim Brotherhood and Islamists and other moderate Muslims and liberals in the country.